It's time to get started with acrylic paint. If you're over 50 and you've been thinking about starting a new hobby that is artistic in nature, but you have no idea where to start, you don't know what supplies to use or where to get them, or what to do, this is a video for you. Using a few simple supplies, I'm going to show you how to go from a blank canvas to a masterpiece. The footage you're going to see is shot in real time so that you understand my process from start to finish and get to see this medium in action. So let's dive in. In this video, we're going to explore acrylic paints. And acrylic paint is so much fun. It has its nuances that you have to get used to, but overall, it is so versatile. It is a ton of fun, and it tends to be one of the mediums that a lot of people gravitate towards. So let's talk about it. We're going to talk about supplies required, and the first thing we're going to need is something to paint on. And we have an 8x10 stretched canvas. So this is just cotton canvas that's been stretched onto a wooden frame and stapled on, pulled nice and taut, and we've traced my Magic Daffodil template onto our canvas. Two things about this Magic Daffodil template. One, you can get a copy of this for free that you can use on your own. The link is in the description box below. You just have to sign up to my email list and you will get a link to download your own Magic Daffodil template. And the second thing to know is that this is a bit of a spoiler alert, but this isn't actually magic. The magic happens when you use this template over and over and over, and you build that muscle memory and hone your skills. That's where the magic is. So having said that, I'm going to get rid of my magic wand. We're done talking about magic for now, but let's get on to the other supplies. Let's talk about the rest of our supplies. Aside from our canvas, of course, we're going to need paint, acrylic paint, and I've grabbed just a couple of random types of paint here. Yes, they are all acrylic, but as you can see, we have a couple tiny tubes, we have a bigger one, we have these little pots. We have a few different brands here, and for these demo purposes, not a big deal. We're going to go ahead and mix and match a little bit. But as you can see, they come in different formats. They can come in the pots, they can come in tubes, they can come in big tubs. We're using some pretty basic student grade paint here. A couple of these I got at Walmart, so cheap brands, easy to find, don't have to put out a lot of money. Then we have brushes. Of course, we need brushes to put our paint onto our canvas. And these also are just a few cheap brushes that I've got, different sizes and different types. I'm not going to talk too much about the types of brushes, but I will let you know that most of the brushes I'm using in this demo are called filberts. So this is the brush, the handle, along with the bristles. And these bristles, this is called a filbert brush. As you can see, if I lay this down onto my canvas, it is very flat. And if I turn it this way, it is very skinny. So it is a flat brush and slightly curved and rounded at the top. Filbert brushes are great for acrylic painting, and they're great for many other applications as well. However, we're not going to talk too much about brushes today. I have a few other small ones that we might get into. I've chosen a few filberts in different sizes, depending on what kinds of corners we need to get into. We might need smaller brushes. And I grabbed two round brushes as well. And they're very small and detailed to get into those small places. And round brushes are pretty much that. They are round evenly all the way around, and they come to a point. And this point allows you to really get in to corners for fine details. So we have our filberts and our round brushes. What we have here is some acrylic medium. And this medium, what it does, it's basically a clear or whitish liquid that you add to your acrylic paint. And what it does is it slows down the drying time of the paint. One of the things acrylic paint is well known for is drying very fast. So sometimes it's just a little too fast for you to be able to work a project before your paint dries on you. So if you add a little acrylic medium, it doesn't tamper with the color or water it down, but it does help extend the drying time so you can work with it a little bit longer. So we're going to use a little bit of that today. And then I have my palette. This is my mixing plate. You can use just a plain old like this, a styrofoam or paper plate. You can use an actual artist palette, doesn't matter. Use whatever you have. And I just figured to keep it simple, we're just going to use our mixing plate today. I have some paper towel because it's always great to dry off your brushes. And then I have some scrap paper. And as you can see, I have tested some other stuff on here. I've done a few things here and there. It's nice to have scrap paper so you can test your colors if you need to blend or lighten anything. And then we have 2 glasses of water. One we're going to keep as a clean water, and that will be for wetting our brushes if we need to. And then for cleaning them off, we'll use the other one. And something else I'm going to bring in, which we may use today, is a spray bottle. I have 2 different kinds of spray bottles, but this one does a super, super fine mist. Because when we get started, we're going to give our canvas a little light spray of water. When you give your canvas a light spray of water, it actually helps the acrylic paint spread a little bit easier, along with, of course, our acrylic medium. I think we've gone through everything, so now let's get into the painting. Let me move our paints out of the way. We're going to talk a little bit about our template here. So we have our daffodil, our lovely magic daffodil. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this daffodil in orange and yellow. My vision for the daffodil is yellow, a light yellow, a pale yellow, with a little bit of darkness in the corners of each petal. And then this trumpet, I call it a trumpet. I don't know what the name is. I keep saying we're going to look it up and I never do. But this trumpet of the daffodil, we're going to do more of an orange color. And then we have a stem here as well, which we'll do in green. We may paint the background today or leave that for the next part. When we go into acrylic paint in more detail, we might add it in there, but let's see how we do. First thing I want to do is I'm going to get my little mixing plate here. I'm going to put down some white acrylic paint, go through a lot of that. When it comes to mixing acrylic paints, you might want to take a standard color, whether it's our yellow or blue or our red, and we might want to lighten it up or we might want to darken it. Lightening a color using white is much easier than darkening a color using black. That's my personal experience, so I try to avoid doing that. There are other ways of darkening your paint. We're not going to get into that today, probably. Just wanted to give you that little bit of background as to why you might see me using white more than black when I'm blending my colors. So let's get started with our yellow. Some artists like to use a palette knife to take the paint out and mix it on the plate. I'm actually good with just using my brush. So we're going to start with the yellow. We're going to do our flowers. I'm going to take a little bit of that yellow, put it on the plate, and close that up. We don't need a ton of paint either. Obviously, this is a small canvas. It's only an 8 by 10. But acrylic paint can go a long way if you use it properly. And I am going to take a light yellow. See if we can get that open. Put some of that out onto our plate. So we have a darker yellow. We've got some light yellow. And then for the orange, we're going to mix in. I don't think I want to use that one. Let's use this red. It's a very orangey kind of red. And I am going to use my round brush for this one. Let's just take a bit of that red. We're going to put that down here. Like I said, we don't need a lot. So we're going to start with that. We'll leave the green for later when we're ready to do our stem. And then I'm going to take my spray bottle and literally just give it a mist. That's it. I'm going to take some of our acrylic medium and pour this onto our plate so we can dip into that as we need it. Put this over here. And now we're going to start painting. So we're going to start with our yellow. Now I had taken that dark yellow, but I'm going to take some of this lemon yellow kind of color. I'm going to take some white and add to it because I want the tips of our petals to be pretty light. And this is looking pretty light already. I'm going to put a little bit of this medium in here, mix that in to help with our drying time. So there we go. Okay, let's give this a try. I'm going to start by just going around the outline of our petal. Super simple. A nice light, bit lemony, creamy kind of yellow. It's a pretty color. And you can put this on as thick or thin as you want. Mine, it's pretty thick. Acrylic paint is one of those paints that can lay down thickly and look quite nice. And sometimes seeing the detail of the brush strokes is kind of nice too. And so, yeah, it's a little bit thicker in some spots, but there we go. That's it. That's all there was to it. We're going to keep going and paint the rest. And as you can see, as we paint, we're going to see our petals, the dividing lines of the petals, they might blend into each other a little bit. That's okay for now because we can define them later. I'm not worried about that as long as we can see that definition. You can see this traced pattern. It was done with graphite, a graphite pencil, good old HB pencil. You can still see the outline, so it's easy to work with. I'm just going to turn this to make this easier to paint onto, because I'm not so talented that I can paint like this and upside down. And I'm just going into the corners. You see how when I was laying down the paint, in the big open spots, I would do this with the flat side. And then when we got into the corners, into the delicate parts, we'll call it, I'm going to take that off my brush. Got a little bit too much of that dark yellow. I would then turn the brush. So look how thin that is. And this allows you to get into those corners and be more precise. And do the same thing. Now see how we've got a bit of that, I believe it's yellow ochre. That's what it looks like anyway. It is yellow ochre. I've got that dark yellow ochre there. And it's not a color that I want on here, but you know what? I'm okay with going over it and letting it blend into what's on my brush. I'm fine with that. We're going to do up some more of this pale yellow, take more of our white, tiny bit of our medium there, and mix it all together. I will say this, if you are a pro, you know or have a good idea of how much paint to put on your palette and how much to mix so that you don't run out. As a beginner, probably a very big pain point because it is for me. When you have to bring in more paint and try to remix the same color, you're never going to get it the same. It's just not going to happen. The question is, do you care? Does it matter for what you're doing? As beginners, I wouldn't worry about that too much. Now, having said that, the more you do this and mix your paints, it will come naturally. It's going to come in time. Acrylic painting like this is not my forte. It's not something that I have gotten into a lot at this stage of the game at the time of recording. I have done some acrylic painting, but I did a lot of abstract and a lot of acrylic pours. Those are just very different techniques. It's a little different than putting a brush on a canvas with a pattern. So I'm not too picky about it. I'm just going to go ahead and paint what looks good to me, get into my corners, and I'm just going to paint right over this little bit of darker yellow. Here's the thing. What it's going to do if I leave that and don't paint over it in order to hide it, because you can see it's blending in there a little bit and it looks fine. Here's the thing. As you're going along like this and, living your best life, painting away, I want to talk a little bit about light and shade. I'm going to put my pencil down here and I'm going to get my magic wand again. Yes, we're back to the magic. If you think about nature, if this flower were outside in the garden or in a forest or in a meadow, where is the light source going to come from? I like to refer to the light source a lot so that you can get used to what it is and understand it. The light source is literally, where is the light shining on this object? As I was talking about, a flower being outside in a garden, the light source is going to be the sun. And the sun is going to be up here. Let's use my pointer, my wand. Sun will be up here if it's high noon. Might be a little bit over here if the sun's rising. Maybe over here if it's starting to set. In this particular composition, the sun is over here, roughly around here. And one way you can sort of tell that is flowers usually point towards the sun and they'll follow it. You'll see that happen in nature. I'm about to make a very broad and general statement, or observation maybe. If the sun is coming down like this, it's hitting the top of the flower. The bottom part of the flower is not having the sun hit it directly. It's hidden a little bit, so it will naturally seem a bit darker than the top side, which naturally seems a bit lighter. This is why on the bottom half of the flower, if things look a little bit darker, that's okay. And in nature, depending on what light is bouncing off within the surroundings of the flower, you are going to get those shadows in strange looking spots. You will get your shadows, you will get your highlights or light, but it doesn't matter. So if you see some darker bits or lighter bits, that's kind of how nature works. We are not looking for perfection. We're looking for progress. And practice makes progress. That's what I always say. So the more you do this, the better you're going to get at it. All right. Magic wand being put down again. We're going to continue on with our yellow paint, our pale yellow paint, and do the rest of our petals. This is super pretty. I really like this. I really like this pale yellow paint. And as you can see, I'm using the brush, the wide splayed out part of the brush. Let's turn this around until I want to do details. Then I'm using it when it's nice and thin. And this is something you get used to as a technique. All right, there we go. Next, we'll do this guy. And also, how thick you put on your paint, that's up to you. Now, as a beginner, I know that's not a helpful thing to say. So what I will say is practice. Just try a bunch of different things. You can even just take a plain canvas, and it doesn't have to be a stretch canvas. It can be just a sketchbook or mixed media pad or something like that, and just try a bunch of different paints. I'm going to do sketchbook tours where you can see the kind of stuff that I do for practice. And it's just to get better and better. So we have our 5 petals, and then we have this little guy just poking out up here. Little dude just poking up there from behind the trumpet. And I am going to go and very lightly just tap that paint on. So yeah, the thickness of the paint on your canvas, you're going to get a feel for what works for you. You're going to get a feel for what you like. There's a whole method of painting where you're putting on thick, thick layers of paint, like impasto painting. You're putting on super thick bits of paint. But right now, we're just doing a pretty normal coverage of our flower. And here we go. Our first round of painting, and yes, there will be more rounds, because something to know about painting and art in general, a lot of things are done in stages. It's not like you just paint one thing on a canvas and you walk away and you're done. You come back and you do more layers and you tweak and you refine and you change. You can pivot. There's so much you can do after the fact. So for this demonstration, this is the first round of the petals. Looking good, nice and pale. Now what I want to do is I want to bring some darkness into the areas where the petals attach to the flower, which will be in the center, like around where this trumpet is. And the reason why I want to do that is we're going to go back to talking about shadows again, that shade and light thing. If you think about a flower in nature, let's talk about a rose. And a rose tends to be closed in if it's not in full bloom. If a rose is closed in, at the bottom where the petals all join together on the rose, if you look inside where those petals join, it's dark. There's a little divot in there. And this is the same for flowers that are fully in bloom. You're going to see a tiny bit of darkness at the bottom, just naturally coming from the bottom. And we're going to show this in our daffodil, fading up into the pale yellow. So let's do that. Now that I'm happy with my pale yellow, so I'm going to take a bit of this red and let's see if we can make an orange. Here's something I'm going to tell you. Personally, I have a hard time blending colors. I don't do it enough. Is this looking orange enough? This is actually looking pretty good. It's a pale orange, but I'm okay with that. Look at that, huh? There's some magic happening. I don't blend paints a lot, and I tend to use what we call convenience colors. And it means, when you think about basic primary colors, your red, yellow, and blue, they make the other colors. From those you can make orange and you can make green and you can make purple, and then you can make more and more and more. Convenience colors are, here you go, the color's there for you. Like if I had, and I know I have one here somewhere, but if I had a tube of purple, done. Tubes of green, this is yellow and blue mixed together. We didn't have to make our own. It's right here. This is a convenience color to a degree. So mixing your own colors is a total art. It's a lot of fun and a good skill to develop eventually. We won't be doing that today, but I did mix a little bit of red in with my yellow, and I'm okay with this orange. So let's see how this looks when I add this to the bottom of my flower, my petals. I'm just putting a tiny bit of this orangey color. And what I'm doing is I'm very lightly and gently pulling it up. This yellow, this pale yellow, is probably still a tiny bit wet, tiny bit damp. So it helps you mix new colors into the one you've just laid down. Like I've just pulled that up, like making little lines. You ever notice some flowers, it looks like they have kind of like veins coming up them? Or the colors themselves, like I said, they just come up and fade into a lighter color. That's the effect I'm going for here. Now I'm thinking that this orange is too dark, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry and I'm going to play with it some more. I'm going to do the same thing with this petal. Just bring that color up a tiny bit so that it's dark where it's at the bottom towards where it attaches to the flower. And then here, same thing. I'm doing the same thing. I'm pulling this orangey color up. I'm going to bring it up the sides a little bit because you'll see shadow not just where the petals attach, but you might see it, say, on the underside of a petal because it's a little darker down here and lighter up here. This is just a way to use our color to get the effect that we want. Now this guy is going to come out like this, and he's going to come out like that. And I'm just going to flick that color up there. Just very gently take my brush, and it's starting to dry up a little bit, and it feels kind of sticky, almost sticky. So that's the kind of effect we're going to get. I'm going to keep going. I know this looks a little bit weird, but we're going to work with this in stages. And here we go, bringing this lovely orangey yellow up into the pale yellow. And I'm not going to put any more than that. And this little dude, I'm going to leave him alone. We're going to leave him alone. I'm going to add a little bit more here. Just a tiny bit, and maybe a bit here. There we go. And I'm going to clean this guy up a tiny bit. We're going to work with him some more. Okay, now I'm going to wash off this brush. So here's my dirty water. You'll be able to tell fairly quickly which is dirty and which is clean. So let's take a look. Clean that off, and I'm going to wipe that on my paper towel. Get some more of that paint off. It's like cleaning makeup brushes. Similar thing. For those of you who use makeup brushes, you know what that's like. You know what that means. Okay, I'm going to put my brush down, and I'm just going to do a little test. See how everything's drying. That's drying pretty good. It's drying pretty fast. Maybe not as fast as watercolor, but it is pretty quick. All right, let's critique our flower. Let's take a look at this for a minute. So we have our pale yellow, which is great. And then we have our orangey yellow kind of coming up from the bottom, which is fine, but it's a little inconsistent and a little messy. So how can we fix that? What could we do to blend this a little bit better? I have an idea. What if we take our tiny little round brush, we're gonna wet him in our clean water. I'm gonna just dip it on the paper towel to take some of the water off. What if we come in here and we go back over this orangey yellow color with more of our pale yellow? to blend it out a little bit. This is a great thing about acrylic paint. You can go light over dark easily, very, very easily. And so if I take my yellow and I just do a couple of stripes, I'm just going to go in, do a couple of stripes to kind of blend that orange out from the yellow. Look at that. It's lightening up already. Just going to tap that out, and we can see a little bit of the orange there, but not mad at that. I'm going to go around and do it on these guys too. Just a bit. Just a bit. It's almost like adding in stripes. Oh, look at that. That's super pretty. I like that. Let's see if we can recreate that here. See, this is the thing about my channel. You're going to see me experiment, do things wrong, but the good thing about that is you're going to see how to fix things when they go awry. Let's take a little bit more of that yellow. I don't want to put too much here because I actually like the way this one has turned out. Let's get a tiny bit. Just a teeny tiny bit. And I'm just going to do a little yellow stripe. And it's blending right into this yellow of the petal because it's the same color. I like it. I like it. Okay, what else we got? I'm coming back here. I'm coming back to this guy. I feel like I need to bring some more of this yellow in here. Ooh, there we go. Ooh, that's a lot of yellow. But that's okay. What do we think? What do you think about that? Have we taken away too much of the orange? Maybe. Might have to add some back in. And that's okay. You know why? We have orange and we have the power. And do some stripes up here. And there we go. And there we go. Okay, I'm going to clean this little guy off. Get the paint off him. And tap on my paper towel. And I'm going to come in and do some orange. I don't want to put too much orange on here. So I'm going to spread this out real thin on my plate. So I'm not carrying too much orange here. And then I'm just going to like gently flick it up into my yellow bits. Get a little bit more of that orange, and add some in. There we go. Yeah, beautiful. Masterpiece in the making. Do I want to do any more with this? You know what? I don't want to touch this anymore. Here's something you need to know. Okay, it's kind of funny. What you need to know is when you get to this stage and you're like, I think it's good, but maybe I should just do one more little thing. That's usually the kiss of death. So many artists will tell you that they look at something and go, I just want to do one little tweak, and it ruins what they've done. It happens so much. Be prepared. It is going to happen to you because it happens to all of us. But this, I'm not mad at. And what I want to do now is work on the trumpet. So let's go into our orange because we still have some of this. This nice yellow orange, we're going to start with it. And the good thing about utilizing colors you already have or have mixed is even though you may not specifically see it, it ties the colors of the painting together. It makes the painting look and feel even more cohesive, which I love. So we're just going to go around Mr. Trumpet and this scallopy edge. We're going to paint around that. And then we're painting the flat part and the curve along the bottom. And I'm feeling like, yes, this is a nice way to tie in the colors together, but they're so close, there's not enough definition for this trumpet. And that's okay because we're going to add some. What we're going to do is we're going to take a little more of this red. We're going to go a little darker. I'm going to go a little darker. And even though it looks more reddish than orange, it's still kind of a dark orange, which is kind of the vibe I'm going for. So I'm thinking let's use our little baby guy to start out with. I'm going to put that brush back down. Let's start with a little because you know what? It's easy to add a little. It's hard to take away. So we're just going to add. We'll go on the bottom here because we're going to work with shadows. Shadows. Me and my shadows, right? I love talking about shade and light because it is something that really will elevate your game. Like it will. No joke. Separates the boys from the men, as they used to say back in the day. I know that's goofy, but when you know how to work with shade and light, here's what it does in general. It takes your piece of art, whether it's a painting or a drawing, or you've done something with colored pencils or pastels or whatever, it takes it from looking like a flat 2D object to popping out of the page and looking more three-dimensional when you give it more depth, when you give it more va-va-boom. That's what we're giving it right now, va-va-boom. So let's get in there. And we can put a little bit of shadow underneath. This is the bottom of the scallop. Because it would naturally kind of curl this way, there would be a tiny little shadow under here. So I'll put a little bit of darkness there, take a little more, and I'm just tapping it along. Doesn't have to, no big whoop, doesn't have to be a big thing. Bring this down a little bit, and I'm going to add some more now at the bottom because it's not standing out enough for me, that bottom of the trumpet, compared to the petals that it's bumping up against. Now, it's a little bit patchy looking, but you know what? I'm okay with that for now. We can add more and tweak more. So what I like to see is more of that shadow kind of look around the perimeter of the trumpet, and then have in here a little bit lighter because that's kind of a natural thing too. Around the edges tends to be a little darker, and then in a big area, the center might be a bit lighter. So I am not mad at that. Next, though, we're going to go back to our trumpet and we're going to do the inside of the trumpet. And I'm going to make this a little bit lighter because remember how I was saying our light source, say the sun is shining on it. It's going to be shining right in here. So I don't mind making that a little bit lighter. I'm going to take some white and add it to our, what we've made, a dark orange. And I put quite a bit in there. And I just want to lighten it up to more of a peachy color. Let's go in here and get our painting down. Get our paint into our little edges around our scallop of our flower and all through this, all through the inner part of our little trumpet. And I'm just going around into the edges and getting my peachy paint down. Already, I'm feeling like I'm not in love with this peachy color, but we're working with it. That's what we're doing. We're working with it. We're working with what we got, and we're going to tweak and tweak along the way. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Let's see how our drawing time is doing. Drawing is pretty good. Like, okay, that I got a little bit of paint come off on my finger. Didn't ruin my masterpiece or anything. So, panic over. But we have this light peachy color in the center of our trumpet. I'm not liking that vibe. Like I don't know what it is about that color. Looks like, I don't know what. I don't even know what to say that looks like because I really don't. But I'm not loving it. What I don't mind about it is the fact that I would view this as maybe an underpainting. And I'm not going to get too technical. It's basically a first layer that doesn't mean a whole ton, but will bring some dimension and depth to your paintings. This is something we'll talk about down the road, but I'm just going to pretend this is a first layer and we're going to add to it maybe a little bit of white. Remember how I said I wanted to lighten it up? Let's do that. This peachy color is still damp. Let's use that term. So if I come in with some white, that's lightening that up quite a bit. That looks better already, doesn't it? That looks better already. Let's take some of this paint off. I'm not going to wash the brush, but let's go in with a little more. Let's go in with a little more white. What about that? Huh? What about that? And I'll take some off. and just go around. And as you can see, this helps blend the edges a bit. You see how soft that transition is? This looks better. This looks way better. So I'm happy with that. So far, cleaning off my brush now because we're good with this guy. And now what I want to do is go back in with our little dude, right? Clean him off. I was very neglectful, didn't clean my little dude. But let's go back in because I want to do a little more work on the bottom part of the trumpet. Seriously, I think I'm going to leave the top. I think I'm quite happy with it. I'm going to bring in some more red and bring it into our dark orange here. I just feel like it's missing something. There's not enough oomph. There's not enough pizzazz. There's not enough contrast is maybe it. So let's see what happens when we bring in this darker red. Because you know what? Here's what we should have learned by now. If we don't like it, guess what we can do? Change it. That's right. So I'm adding in the red. Oh, I'm not minding that. Let's get in there with that. Okay, I'm just going to go along the bottom, clean that up, straight along the bottom, and up along the curve here till we get to that scallopy edge. I'm even going to add a little bit of this red into the scallopy edge. I'm just flat out calling this red because, yeah, it's a dark orangey kind of red, but it's more red than anything. Okay, let's see how we're looking. You know what? I'm not minding this. And now I've got my red kind of mixing in with my not quite dry yellowy color in there. Not sure where I'm going to go with this. What if we do this? I'm going to take a little piece of paper towel, just a tiny bit, and wrap around my finger, and I'm just going to dab in the middle. It's like like sponge painting. That's it. And I'm going to dab. It's taking some of it off. Let's do this again. Okay, this is fun. That's right. You didn't think you were doing sponge painting today, did you? No, I bet you didn't. I bet you didn't expect this. But whatever tools help you get the job done, that's what you use. Another thing I love about acrylic painting, and let's do that. We're going to leave this for a second and then I'm going to play around with that. I kind of like that mottled look of it. Another great thing about acrylic painting is when it comes to the tools you use, yeah, we have brushes, right? Just about any household item can turn into a tool. There are so many things you can do with funky tools and things when it comes to laying down acrylic paint and working with it. We're not going to get into that in this video, but oh my gosh, the weirdest and funnest and most interesting things come from acrylic painting. So let's see, what do we think about this? I kind of want to leave that. I don't know what it is about this thing. It just, I don't know, just makes me happy. Is it too weird? Is it too weird and wonky? What do you think? Because I don't know. I'm kind of like it now. See, I touched it. I wrecked it. This is what happens. I'm telling you, kiss of death. Kiss of death when you go to do something to a project you already decided that you've finished. So what are we going to do? I think I'm going to let that dry a little bit and then we'll come back and deal with that. So we're almost done, but what I want to do now is paint our stem. So let's get our paint, right? We got our paint here, our paint tray. Excuse me, we're going to put a little bit of green. And believe me, we do not need a lot. I was going to put some dark green in, but instead I'm going to lighten this one. I could have done that with the dark green, but that's okay. Whatever. I'm not going to worry about my extender for the drying time, but I'm just going to take this light green and I am going to just bring it down, and try as evenly as I can to bring it back up. I'm going to turn this around because I want to do this side a little bit darker and then lighten up the other side. So let's see how good we can do with this. It's coming right up there. Ooh, I made a mess. I use my finger to fix that. And there are ways that you can fix and tweak paintings that go wrong. Oh my gosh, so many things we can do. I might even show you a little cheat code in this video, which normally I wouldn't. Who'd I do it for? I did the cheat code for somebody. Oh, which one was it? Anyway, no, it wasn't colored pencils. What the heck was it? I don't remember. I'm trying to make this as straight as possible. It's like, I don't know, putting on like eyeliner, you can't talk. You gotta hold your breath. Same thing with doing these lines. Yeah, that's okay. Take a little bit more of that green and fill in. And as you can see, I don't even need to do too much to this, I don't think. I've got kind of a variation in color. Oops, let me move that. I'm going to turn it around again. And where'd we go? Here we go. We got some blank spots here. We got some blank spots. I'm just going to try and color this in as straight as I can. But yeah, you can see this kind of mottled looking effect of the paint. Let's get that down there. A little bit more, and we're going to try and straighten this up here. And there we go. How's that? Oh yeah, masterpiece. Now you can see that that you've got some light areas and dark areas. I'm okay with that because guess what? Nature. Yes, you're going to see that. And I'm going to attempt to do a little fix here where it feels like I kind of went off a little bit. Look at that. White paint, straight line, done. That's the beautiful thing about seeing people do stuff wrong and make mistakes is that you get to see how they fix them. You get to see how people fix what they do in the moment, in real time. That's why I love doing the paintings this way because I found that as a beginner, because I'm still a beginner, in case you don't know that, I am a beginner. I might be a few steps ahead of you, but not a lot. But what I found was that when most people put together YouTube videos, they're giving you perfection from start to finish. They're not screwing up. They're not making mistakes. They're not revisiting. Very rare. And if they do, it is a minor thing. Whereas I will screw up big time and I'm going to show it to you. Because as a beginner, how are you going to understand how to fix what you did or understand why did my painting do this? Why does it look like this? As I talk through, this should help you understand and be able to go through the process to fix whatever it is that needs to be fixed. That's the way I look at it. Let's take a look. Oh, this guy's pretty dry. Okay, now we might have to hold our breath again because I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I just haven't 100% decided. Okay, let's take our little brush. Because we're just going in little areas, we're going to do our little brush. I'm going to take a bit of this. There's some yellow and red kind of mixed together here. So I'm going to take advantage of that and I'm just going to put that across. Just make some straight lines. I know it sounds boring. And I think we have, oh, there we go. Okay. Let's take, oh, my orange is starting to dry over here. Ooh, yeah. See, I'm telling you, it dries quick. It's drying quick. Oh, there we go. That's a little better. Let's get some more of that orangey yellow. And I'm just gonna do this. I feel like I need a little bit more red here, like it got thin. Let's see. What do you think? Ooh, might be too thick now. Here, let's get some of that off my brush. And just, I'm going to flick that in here a little bit. Just pull that paint in a little bit. And what do you think? That's better. That is better. It is not perfect, but I am not going to touch it again. We are not touching it because we do not want the kiss of death. The last thing we need is the little doodads, pistil, stamen things, whatever they're called, because I never know. But we need to put those guys in, and then we might call it done. So I'm just going to use this dark yellow, this yellow ochre, depending on the project that I'm doing. I might use a brown, I might use a dark green, or mix a dark green and a yellow or something. But we're just doing a quick little something here. And I'm trying to keep, I know this is more of a rounded brush, but I'm trying to keep it a little bit pointed so we don't end up with just blobs here. There. Oh, don't touch anymore, Nancy. Don't do it. I can't remember which medium I was doing, but I was trying to do the doodad here. Royally jacked it up. Like I made such a mess of it, and I had to keep trying to rework it and redo it. It was so crazy, and it still didn't look good at the end. Did I care? No. You know why? We're just learning how to put paint down here. That's all. We're just learning how to put paint down. That's the best we can do. Now, the last thing, there is one more thing I might want to do. Remember in the beginning, very close to the beginning, I was talking about, let's get my little thing here. I was talking about how the definition of the petals is kind of lost because of that graphite, right? Maybe we should put some definition in. The question right now for me that I'm asking myself is, what's the best way to draw around these? We could use a really tiny filbert brush and try to do it on its side like this. My fear is that it's going to end up too thick because using the filberts, not my forte. So here's what we're going to do. We're throwing caution to the wind. I have my bigger round brush, and so I'm going to clean it off. Clean this guy off. Yeah, he's pretty dirty because we pulled out that red paint. Let's see, how's this looking? How's this looking? Stained, but good. But cleanish. Cleanish. Okay. We're going to use this guy because, as I said before, the round brushes can get to a very fine point. Do you think I have the talent and ability to actually pull it off? That's $1 million question. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to use that yellow ochre, this dark yellow. Let's come over here. I'm going to use this dark yellow, the yellow ochre. And what I'm going to do is, do I need that drawing extender? Probably not. But what I am going to do, see, it's pretty thick. I'm going to add some clean water and I'm going to thin it out a bit. Here's the thing with acrylic paint. And I'm hesitant to have this conversation now, but we're going to because I'm getting into this. You can thin out acrylic paint with water a little bit. You have to be very careful and very intentional about how much water you use. If you add more than roughly 25% water of the volume of the paint, it's going to be too thin and it could peel off eventually. So you try to keep it very, very minimal if you're adding water to thin out your paint a little bit. Remember at the beginning, we got our spray bottle and we sprayed the canvas and we painted on that. Well, it dried in a couple of minutes and it was just a tiny bit to help, nowhere near 25% or more than that. So now that I have this lovely yellow ochre thinned out, we're going to see, does Nancy have that steady hand to draw? And I'm holding this really close because the closer you hold your fingers to the bristles, the more control you have. The further away it is, the looser your painting is going to be. Something to keep in mind. So let's go. Let's go, Richmond. You can do it. You can do it. Oh, no, come on. No, Nancy, did you really? Oh, look at her. Look at her go. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. She's doing it. I'm being like super careful. And I'm not bringing it all the way up, but I'm trying to kind of thin it out a little bit as I come along here. Oh, yeah, be careful, lady. You don't want to jack it up. That's a bit too dark. And just put my finger on. There we go. Look at me. Look at this girl. You'd think I knew what I was doing, wouldn't you? Yeah, that's right. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit more. Be careful because I'm rolling a lot of the paint off the brush and getting it close to the tip. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Oh, look at me. I sound like, I don't know, like someone who's performing brain surgery. I don't know. I'm just so nervous about this. And I should not be. Nancy, what is your problem? And I'm even going to bring it around there. What do we think? Oh, this is nice. I'm liking this. Okay. Now, this could be another kiss of death, but I'm wanting to bring it all the way around my petals. Yeah, we're doing it. It's happening, folks. It's happening. And again, may not be perfect, but I'm going back into my paint. I don't know if you guys can see that over there. Here we go. Rolling my paint. Okay. What do we think? Hey, what do we think? Oh, yeah. I'm so easily amused and excited about like the littlest things in life. That guy's a bit too thick. I'm not happy with that. It isn't the kiss of death, but it's not the kiss of life either. Let's see. I love that this is covering that graphite. I really do. Because it just makes it look more polished, more professional, just that little bit better. And now I'm ending up making these lines thicker, but I'm also not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. Let's get some more paint. Roll our round brush around in that. Okay. Got control over our brush. There we go. That's a little finer. I'm getting a little cocky. I'm getting a little cocky now. So this is when you make mistakes too. When you're like, yeah, I got this. This is a piece of cake. And then you do something, you go, oh, maybe it's more like a piece of humble pie. Forget the cake. It's humble pie. That's what I'm calling it. Okay, and around there. And then we're bringing it home with this petal. I go to call petals leaves, and I don't know why. I don't know why I have such a hard time keeping those two words straight. So if you hear me say leaf when I'm working on a flower, chances are it's petal that I'm talking about. Okay. All right. What do we think? Oh, well, how cute is that? Now I'm feeling the need to do this. I'm going to do this everywhere. We're going to do this around the trumpet because the trumpet needs some love. It's just a little bit too boring. I don't know. And I'm just like making some jaggedy suggestions. It's not even perfect. It just really does give that definition. Do we want to go down here? It's probably better with red, but I'm going to go around anyway. No one can stop me now. Look at that. And we'll do the little jaggedy bits here too. That's more blurred, I think, but you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm glad that I went around this with this yellow ochre, this darker color. It just gives it more definition as well. It's fine without it, but I'm glad I did this. So, are we good? Are we good? You know, I got to tell you, there's more I want to do. See, this is what happens. You go down the rabbit holes and you need to do more. I need to cover this because it's really bothering me, that bit of green. Okay. Now I might have put too much there, but that's all right. Speaking of green, I want to do more with this green. I really do. See, I'm telling you, you could spend so much time doing this because once you see something, you're like, oh, yeah, that's nice. Wait a minute. Now I want to change that. I'm adding some white to the green and I am just going to put a little bit along here. Just a tiny bit. I don't know. I feel like it's missing something. Like it's missing something. And yeah, okay, that's all right. I don't mind it. It's not the worst thing I've ever done. However, now I feel like I took too much of that green off here. So we're just gonna take our detail brush and bring that in. That's it. Just a tiny bit. Just a wee bit. Now I'm pulling some white in. I'm going to end up making a mess of this. Kiss of death. Not really, because I'm going to fix it. Clean off my brush. Go into some green. And yeah, we're going to say, listen, you can't stop me. You can't stop me from tweaking and fixing. It's going to happen. Hang on, let's do this. Right down there. I'd like that darker, but you know, here goes Nancy, kiss of death. There we go. All right. Okay, I'm going to stop now because I will end up making a mess. All right. I think we're going to leave it there. Was thinking about background. We're not going to talk about background today. We'll probably do that in the next level video. But yeah, it's a daffodil. Look at that. We made a daffodil. There's lots more I could do with this, but I will not. This is just giving you an idea of what's possible. And this is just to start. There is so much more. Be sure that you're watching the next videos in the series where I go into more detail. I talk more about supplies, quality of supplies, where to spend your money, all of these things. But as of this moment, this daffodil is done. So let me know, are you going to give the daffodil a try? Put a comment below, or if you do try it, let me know how it goes. I just love seeing people's comments. I like getting a dialogue going and getting that community built up because we're all here to learn and we can learn from each other too. And believe me, if you have a question, put that in the comments as well. If you have a question, chances are someone else does too. All right, we're going to leave it there. So I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to watch more in the series because this is going to help you get better and better. Don't forget to grab your template in the description box below. Click that link and get it. We're going to leave it there. And until I see you next time, happy creating.